Welcome back, everybody. Cody here, Boss Poses, and I have returned to teach you guys the next part of our tutorial. So I promised you guys I would teach you the next part of the CGI tutorial where we put ourselves into Blender rather than having animating around a video clip that we filmed in the real world, right? So instead of compositing like a digital train in our world, we're going to composite ourselves into the digital world, right? So this comes in handy when you're doing certain scenes that are more CGI dominant in environment than they are on your person. So if you're just having like a CGI shield in the scene, then you just do it the old way, right? You just composite that CGI shield in the real world. So if you're doing like an alien derelict spacecraft or something like that, and you're walking down the hallway, you'd usually do that in CGI. And to do this, you're going to have to film yourself doing a little small acting clip on a green screen. So what you want to do is you can use Filmora, you can use After Effects, anything you can render an alpha channel on, you're going to be using. So for example, if you're driving a car and you want to drive a car in the digital world, you want to make a race sequence, just put your hand in front of you like that, and keep an eye on where your camera angle is, because you're going to pretty much match that camera angle inside of Blender to get the most accurate look. But if you're just walking around or standing up doing a fight scene, you can do this whatever way you want. You just want your camera to be flat on the surface. So I'm going to show you how to do all of that. And another thing you want to keep in mind is importing the audio. I'm going to show you how to do the audio as well, because a main part of this as well is keeping timing accurate. So you don't ever want to go in and act around a time frame and say like, oh, Master Chief is going to start talking here, I need to stop talking at the 2-minute and 30 mark. We're just going to skip all of that, and what we're going to do today is just do all of the audio inside of After Effects. So all you have to do is basically import that whole audio sequence and animate around it. That way our video clip is based off of that audio. So say if you're doing a video game and you're podcasting and you're interviewing Master Chief or something like that, you'll never know when he's going to start talking, but you could make that happen. That way you don't necessarily have to guess or be on time with your vocal speech or anything like that. So you could just do that, import that, and you can scrub through and animate around it inside of Blender. So you're going to need a couple things to start today. You won't be needing any add-ons. You're just going to be needing After Effects. You're going to be needing Blender. That's all you're going to be needing, and whatever program you choose to key it out. You could use AI like runway.ml just to get the transparency called in painting. So basically you just click on yourself and it'll isolate yourself from the rest of the video. That's very handy to have. And if you don't have that, just use After Effects. I'm sure you could use the trial version to export yourself. So without further ado, we're going to go get started. And if you like today's video, please do like and subscribe. It does keep the channel alive, me knowing that these videos are reaching people and they are helping people. And it's really humbling to see a lot of your emails come in that I help to achieve some certain goal, and you guys will send me clips of your videos. It's really nice to see that my goal is paying off and I am creating new animators and people creative. I will always keep the information that I convey to you guys as simple as possible, so you never have to be on a professional level to produce professional level quality work, right? That should just be your drive in general. So without further ado, let's quit talking and let us go get started. Alright, now that we're inside of After Effects, you could do this in Premiere as well, but the reason why I selected After Effects is because the pen tool is so easy. So if you notice that my green screen just quite isn't big enough for the full wall and it kind of extends past, I'm going to show you how you can just key that rest of that space out and we'll just have that entire space transparent, right? So you don't need to necessarily worry about having that. It's just technically around you that we need to key out, and then the rest of it is pretty much good to go. So once you import your footage, don't worry if it's this lengthways 1920 by 1080, 1080 by 1920. It really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go back to my current controls for here. So the first thing we want to do is actually key out this green screen right here. So obviously I'm going to go to key. Now After Effects is strangely odd for not having an Ultra key in it, but Premiere doing so. Ultra key is just amazing, but we're gonna, I believe it's color key. We're gonna go to that first, and we're gonna go to the green space right here, and then we can turn up our tolerances and whatnot like that, right? So if you notice, this can be a bit tricky when you're doing this inside of After Effects. You can use chroma keys as well, which I believe we're going to do instead, or a luma key. So let's go for that. We'll go key light instead. We'll select our green screen, and as you see, we got a basic, right? So if you don't have key light, this might be the only section you might not get in your free version. This is why I didn't start the topic with that at first, but I'm pretty sure every installation now comes with key light. I remember this being an add-on a very, very long time ago. But again, that has bypassed me in many years. So what we're going to do next is just fix this edging around ourself here. So I believe we can do this in the screen matte. We can change all of our softness things. We want to change our spill mainly. So we're going to go look at the green color balance. So if you turn this up, you'll notice that the hat chokes a little bit more. See how it's pretty far away from it right now. So we're just going to keep going and trying to find a good pre or a feather for it would help. But from far distances, that should be okay. And if you play it back, you'll notice that key light did a really good job of our green screen. So now what we have to do is actually remove the rest of this space here. So if you click this pen tool up at the top, you can just click inside your green screen area. Like so, make a box. And now we'll have that entire part keyed out. Now the top is missing as well. And if you notice that this is playing, that background is completely keyed out other than the top here. So we can actually just stretch this down a little bit so it's more inside of our green screen. We want all around us to be pitch black. Getting a lot of stool here. If you did want to make micro adjustments, you could make points like this. And then what you could do is drag one of those points. And then you could mask that what's behind your leg, like that chair leg, like, let me just scroll down. Down here, we could add more points to it, right? And then you could take these and then you could unscale it, right? But for now, we don't really necessarily need to do that. We just want to get this clip inside of Blender. So I'm just going to do a few other things here. I'm just going to go back to my push tool here. I'm just going to push him down. That way he's on the bottom of the clip. So now when I'm inside of Blender, this will be the bottom of the clip here. So we play it back. Asking you today, and one of the questions was... And that's pretty much the only thing we have to do inside of After Effects. And now we're good to export this and get this into Blender. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I just got to make sure this comes up in OBS because it can be a giant piece of crap sometimes when you're doing this. So let me go to Render Queue. I'll drag up the render queue so you can see it. I'm going to remove the first one, and right here we're going to click our image settings. Let me just make sure that it comes up, and of course it didn't, so now I'm going to add it, so just give me a moment. Click here, capture, output settings, done. So there you go, OBS. That was so difficult. But anyway, so now that we're inside of this, we need to change two settings. We need to change the format from H.264 to QuickTime, and then we also need to change our channel from RGB to RGB and alpha. It's that simple. All alpha is the transparent layer on whatever you're making. So the alpha, you always have to have the alpha if you're making transparent layers. In QuickTime, if you're curious on what format this is going to export to, this will export to an MOV file, which you can actually import to Blender very easily. So that's also a blessing. So after you do that, you just want to hit OK. We want to choose a spot for this. So I'm just going to put it on my desktop. I'm going to call this tutorial. And then once I'm done inside of there, we can just hit our render. So we're just going to render. And this should go really quickly in this, since a lot of the data around the outside is missing. So we're just going to wait for this to finish, and we're going to come back. It's rendering quite a large amount of frames. So if you did want to cut this track, I should have explained this, so I do apologize. So we're going to go back into the thing. If you need to cut the time, you can actually just scale it here. So if you see the movie clip, you can actually just drag this clip down to whatever time you want. So this would be 60 frames per second, so there's quite a lot of frames inside 60 seconds. Then you can drag this blue arm here, right-click, and then trim to composition, and that'll make it just scaled. So now we have a 35-second clip of us talking here. It does have audio, so keep in mind that this will import the audio as well, but we're going to have to do it separately in Blender, but we'll get to that. So let's go back into our render queue. So I'm just going to export this again. So Render queue, always delete the first one. Desktop, let's just double check our settings. So again, I'm going to set this to QuickTime, RVGA, and then we're going to put this to our desktop. Render. Oop, continue. So as you see, our frames are actually going by really, really quickly, and I love using After Effects for that, but Premiere, it really does go a lot faster. So if you only have Premiere to use that, it's also just as efficient. It's just the pen tool in After Effects is a lot easier to use, and the key light is very powerful at just getting rid of all of the green screen at once without having to, you know, adjust it. But also the counterpart to that is also having those adjustment tools is a really good blessing as well. So if you have Premiere, you have a lot more to access there. So we're just going to wait for this to finish and we'll continue. Alright, so now that our MOV is finished, now we're good to go over into Blender. I'm going to show you how to import this clip into Blender, so go ahead and boot that up. Alright, now that we're inside of Blender, there's one add-on that you have to enable, and that comes default within Blender. It's called Image as Planes. So if you go into your preferences, go to add-ons, just search Image as Planes, and you'll see it. And then when you go up into Add Image, you'll see it right here, Image as Planes. So that's a bonus to have. So what you're going to do once that happens, you're actually just only going to go to Add Images Planes, and then we're going to find that video that we just rendered, so I can actually scroll down, import it, and you're going to see this plane as it is right now, like so. But once we enable our shaded mode, you're going to see me, right? And then it's obviously transparent. You can see right through it. So what you can actually do is go down into your material options. You can change the depth. So if you lower that, that'll be more accurate to the color of it. You can actually just scale this up. And then what you can do is actually just start building your scene around it in 3D. So say if I wanted that, right? And then I wanted, say, like a table, I could go into Blender Kit, Models, and I could go Table. And then find maybe like a low poly table of some kind to use, like a bench or whatever. I could use this circle table right here, so we'll just wait for that to jump into the scene. Okay. Go to the table bone, and then what I could do is lower that, right? And then what I could do next is go in and get a camera. Go into my camera view. And then, like I said, you don't want to see that clip point at the bottom. You want to put it above, like so. So now you see how that works. And then when I hit play back, it's actually playing inside the scene. So you could do some fun things, right? So if you really wanted to keyframe it, or if you made a clip of you running or something like that, you could bind you to an object. So like I said earlier, if you're driving a car or something like that, you could just bind yourself right to the car, right? And then we can turn up our metallic. We can add a bunch of effects to our skin and stuff like that. But this shading that you see around the top of the head, that's from the green screen that we're using. In Premiere, it's really easy to fix that because of all those extra options that you have. So if we go forward, even if we go into cycles mode, we can add an HDR into the background. And I love doing this because you can make some pretty cool kung fu scenes. And if you're really good at rendering and optics, you can get some pretty realistic looking results, especially if you act the part properly. So if I were to mimic the camera angle of the scene that I shot it in, so it's always good to keep a storyboard of what you're doing so you know exactly where your camera angles are. But to me, that looks pretty good already, so I can actually just turn that shaded mode off. But if I wanted to, I could keyframe it, right? So like if I wanted to rotate, I could put this on local. But you see how it's reflective on my hat? That's because we do have metallic shader onto this. So we would just turn our roughness up. Turn our sheen down. You know, you got your alpha controls right here. You can change the clip. You can change how many frames it plays. So if you wanted to play in a loop, you could do that as well. But I'm going to show you how to get the audio, because if you notice, there's no audio here. And one other thing I highly recommend you do before you start animating is click playback. Click play every frame and click frame dropping, and then you're gonna see the correct frames. Even if it's lagging, it's going to push it at the same speed. So when you're animating, you're not animating off time, okay? So you could even use geometry nodes, you could use backgrounds, you could even composite with this. So say if I went into here and then I went to my film settings, so I believe that's in one of these fucking places. Jesus, where is it? There it is. You can even remove the background if you so wanted to, right? So like you can get some pretty good blending going on. Like that doesn't look too bad at all. This could probably use a good little rotate. So again, you could change the perspective of what you're doing. But again, there's flat on gives you a little bit more. So you could add influence. So if you're riding a ship or something like that, you know, you can make it go up and down, you know. So that helps, but you can't do it in lower shaded modes. I find Eevee works the best, so you don't get all this blurring, and the amount of time it takes to process these frames is actually very low because this is just a simple movie clip, right? We're not importing PNGs. But anyway, let's get back over into how to do the audio next. So from the original clip that you have of this video, we're just going to click this plus up here, video editing, and we're going to open the video editing portion. We're just going to bring this timeline all the way back down. So if I just go into my desktop, click and drag the video into here, you're going to see what I mean. So let's go ahead and do that. Just click and drag it. Alright, so now that I just dragged the clip in here, you're going to see it and the audio. So now when I play it back...
Cell Master Chief.
You're going to notice that the audio plays, right? So we don't necessarily need the video from this. So it's already split for us. So just take the video and delete it. Now we have the audio.
Master Chief. Today in the community, we've been getting a lot of questions. Yeah.
Right? So we got the audio. Now if we go back to layout to our scene, we can click the playback where we enable the frame dropping and then click this audio option here. Play audio from sequence. So now we can scrub it while we animate.
Cell Master Chief.
It's a little bit off because the clip's off. So if I wanted to push this back to its correct space, so that black line is the start, the end of that black line. So now
we've been getting a lot.
But with the frame dropping, that would line up. And I'm going to show you right now how to export this. So if you wanted to export this correctly, again, over at the side, just use QuickTime. In QuickTime, it just re-export as an MOV or an AVI. So now you can export it as any format you want. As long as you imported this with the transparent layer, you can export it and it would still be transparent, okay? So down here below where you do your encoding and you choose your output and stuff like that, also make sure this is RGBA to capture the alpha if you are rendering transparent. If not, do RGB. Okay, so right down here you're going to see this audio section. You want to click that audio and you want to make sure this is set to MP3. Now when you export this clip to any format, it's going to export the audio as well. When you play it back, you're going to hear all the sound. So that's why I recommended that you go into After Effects, build all of the sound file, and then bring it into your video editor here, because as I'm scrubbing through, I can animate to the audio, but I still have my clip in the scene and I can animate this as well, right? So you can do a lot of fun things. You could play with the world. You could fight a video game character. You can do just pretty much anything your minds want. So if you guys like today's video, please do like and subscribe. Again, that's what keeps the channel alive. And again, every comment helps, and it helps me decide what to teach you guys next. So I hope this creates some more people doing animations. I hope to get some more emails at bossposes@gmail.com. about work and about what you guys have created lately. So thank you all for tuning in today, and I can't wait to make the next video. Keep an eye out for that within the next couple days, and I will see you all soon. Over and out.